Today I'm showing you how to water the garden. There's a few different steps to it, but firstly this is the best hose attachment we have, so you can use this one, just attach it, pull this back, stick it on, and that's it. So this hose here at the back works really well, and it reaches, it'll reach the whole back of the garden, so I'll show you where. But anyway, turn it on. So this is shower, so you can turn it to jet, shower, whatever, just use shower.
Yeah.
So just water like this, like a strong, turn this up quite a bit, a strong stream is good. So the first bit to water is the pumpkins here. So you can water this bit as well. These aren't so important, but the pumpkins are very thirsty, so make sure that they are well hydrated. One of the principles of watering is it's better to water deeper, water less frequently, but water more deeply. So rather than do it every day shallowly, it's better to do it every second or third day more deeply. And also water, if it's going to be over 32 degrees the next day, water, because every day that it's hot they need it. With the pots, just make sure the pots are totally saturated, but also don't forget about this. A good way to know if it needs water is you just stick your finger in the first 2 centimeters of the pot, and if it's dry in that first 2 centimeters, then you need to completely water it. We've got a few flower seeds growing in here, so just give them a light water. The trees they have deep roots, so they don't really need to water themselves, but it's more for the flowers at the top. Just make sure you water the pots. The rest of this stuff, it doesn't actually need that much water, unless it's like a really, really hot day, and by really hot I mean, probably over 32 degrees. So just make sure they get a thorough soaking. And that's it. Okay, don't forget to water this. It's succulent, so they won't be extremely thirsty, but this wall gets really, really hot, so just make sure you don't forget these guys. So just make sure it all gets the water, especially the tomatoes, and just water the whole thing. So it has mulch, which is good because it helps retain the water, but it also means that you have to try water a little bit deeper so that it can penetrate through the mulch, so you're not just wetting the mulch. So make sure you also aim the hose over this way to the tomatoes. We've also got the kiwi fruit back there, so just make sure that you're watering all of that, and don't really worry about the lemon tree or anything like that. The trees will be fine. Water this side of the garden. This is mostly herbs. There's lots of basil in here. So just water this side water this area from this side. We're using a different hose, so I just use the same attachment and stuck it on that hose. One way to tell that a plant is thirsty is they droop a lot. You'll see this a lot with the pumpkins. They'll go very droopy. This plant that's just kind of normal. That's not actually droopy. But if you see them droop, it's time for a water. The best time to water is in the morning. If you can't do that, then the best time to water is at night time. It's not ideal, but it's just good to water when you can. But if you water in the middle of the day, you just get a lot of evaporation and it'll kind of waste water. Okay, so water all the pots on this side of the house. The thing about these pots is it's not very sunny over here, so you don't really have to do it too frequently. Just do it on those quite hot days, or if they haven't had a water in about 3 days, then make sure you water them. So water every single pot, don't forget any pot. And normally I would water them all, but I'm just conscious that it makes a lot of noise. But don't forget the hanging pots either. So make sure you get those. Ooh, and I really wanted to point out that this is wasabi. It needs water every single day. So these are from River Environments. It's got quite a complex system where there's a reservoir of water at the bottom. So don't stress out if you get to it every second day, or you could just, if you're walking past with a glass of water, just give it some water. This one likes to be very wet. So water all of these things along here. Don't forget those pots. Oh yeah, an important thing is to water these herbs. They're very important. They actually can stand to be a little bit dry. So again, it's not an everyday thing, but make sure they all get water on the hot days, and don't let too many days. I would say about 3 days is maximum before everything needs the water. Cool. Okay, that's it to the front yard now, and I've moved the hose. So I wound it up, and then I moved the whole hose, including this part of the hose, to attach to this tap. And there is another hose that can live out here. It's grey, but I actually think this hose is just way easier to use. So that's why. And also don't leave this one out here because it'll get stolen because it's too good. But this zucchini is limp, and so that then you know it's thirsty. So this is the kind of look that you know it needs a drink. But this side of the house, it's really hot. The water is really hot. This side really needs to be watered at least every second day because it gets really hot. It's important to actually water every plant on the hole because these plants are actually planted in a hole with cardboard surrounding them to suppress the leaves. So if you water like this, not a lot of water will get to the plant. So water every plant on its hole. And it's really important to also deeply water this grapevine. So make sure you give that a really good water. And also make sure you give those, not really getting to it, those 2 pear trees, make sure you give them a really deep water too because they've got deep roots. Don't forget the tomatoes, they're also very thirsty. So also try to aim towards the roots. Don't try not to do this because you're just wasting water. Try to aim down towards the roots. These ones you can, little ones you can water right on top. Just water literally everything along the front. Don't need to be watered like every day. These plants, they can go like a week without watering, but it depends on how hot it is. Water the entire thing. Try to aim towards the roots. Try not to just get the leaves. And that citrus there, give them good water. Make sure these pots get a really good water because pots can get really hot. These pots here are wicking beds, so you can like literally, I could fill this up, I could actually fill it up like a bucket, so I won't put too much in there. Try not to overwater these, just give them a really good drink every few days. Yeah, all of this needs water, but the most important thing is this little vegetable garden. So yeah, make sure to water the grapevine. The grapevine gets thirsty, it gets really hot as well. Yeah. Also water all the little pots along here. Water this pot, water that apricot. Actually, normally I just get close, I actually go really close to it. Water the other herb pot. And don't forget to water all these plants along the side because pots can get really dry, especially when it's hot because this whole front yard gets really, really hot. Don't forget these plants here. These are pretty hardy. Those plants are square pots, but just don't forget them. Along here, I'm going to water a little bit at the top. Every time you're out here, water them a little bit at the top, just to get those shallow roots moist. So water them all a little bit, but I'll show you how to actually properly water these beds. So we can take this nozzle off. So what I'm going to do now should be done like once a week. Turn the tap on, and then so you bring them over here, and then if you're using the other hose, the grey hose, so you can do this once a week, bring the grey hose, and then you just stick the hose into each one of these holes. Yeah. And yeah, keep doing it until it starts to leak. Like until water starts coming out this end, out of this hole, or you see it leak somewhere else. So you have to really, really fill it up because it's a reservoir, and that means that you don't have to water it very often. So if you do this, you only have to water them once a week, and that's why these guys are really good. So you can see now it started to leak out. So this is full. So I would move on to this one is watered like this differently. So just make sure you top these up. And Yusuf asked if we can water from the top. You can water a little bit from the top, but don't rely on completely watering from the top because all the fertilizer and dirt will filter through and sit in the reservoir and get stinky and like moldy and gross. So if you water it from the bottom, it's always clean water that's being absorbed up into the wicking bed, and that's a good thing for us. The garden needs to be watered on very hot days, and I would consider, or the day before a hot day, I consider 32 to be a hot day. So every day that it's going to be above 32, make sure you water it. Better to water in the morning or at night if you can't water in the morning. At night is okay. If it's going to rain, more than 5 mils, check the weather, or if you felt that it's rained a lot, don't worry about it, you don't have to water. But make sure that between rain and water, You're not going more than about 3 days without any water, and you're also not going for hot days without water. That's it. Okay, thank you.